Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining our presentation today. We're excited to share our research project on the environmental injustices the Innu community faces in Canada. Our team consists of myself, Nicole, along with Jordan and Margie. Our research focuses on the significant environmental pollution impacting the Innu people, particularly how industrial activities have caused respiratory conditions like asthma. The Innu community faces ongoing challenges due to historical and contemporary policies that have often overlooked their rights and well-being. In our presentation, we're going to cover several key areas: historical context and contemporary policies, lifestyles and socioeconomic factors, health impacts of pollution, advocacy, representation, and community empowerment, and culturally relevant health interventions. Through this presentation, we aim to shed light on the urgent need for comprehensive solutions to the environmental injustices faced by the Innu people. Thank you for your attention, and we hope you find our research insightful and thought-provoking. So let's start by looking at the rich history of the Innu people and how it connects to the challenges they face today. The Innu, who are indigenous to the Arctic regions of Canada, have a deep connection to their land. Their name means the people, which reflects this bond. However, their way of life was significantly disrupted in the mid-20th century due to rapid industrialization. Development projects and intensive mining operations in Labrador brought severe environmental changes. These activities led to deforestation and water pollution, disrupting wildlife habitats and fundamentally altering the Innu's environment and lifestyle. One particularly impactful event was the Churchill Falls hydroelectric project. This massive development flooded vast areas of land that were traditionally used by the Innu for hunting and fishing. The disruption didn't just affect their food sources, but also their cultural practices and spiritual connection to the land. Similarly, mining operations in Labrador introduced pollutants into the air and water, further degrading the environment and contributing to health problems. During this period, the Innu were rarely consulted about these projects. This lack of consultation and respect for their land rights has had lasting impacts on their community. This leaves the Innu with little room to influence outcomes that directly affect their lands and health. The disregard for the Innu's input during these large-scale projects violated their rights and set a precedent for how their lands would be treated in future developments. Fast forward to today, and the situation isn't much better. Current policies still fall short in addressing the environmental damage and health issues faced by the Innu. Industrial activities like mining, oil, and gas extraction and increased traffic continue to threaten the Arctic health of the Innu people. The issue is the rising prevalence of respiratory illnesses, such as asthma, among the Innu. Despite the clear link between pollution and health issues, current policies often prioritize economic development over environmental protection and Indigenous rights. For instance, the Canadian Environmental Protection Act, or CEPA, is designed to prevent pollution, but has been criticized for weak enforcement and inadequate protection of vulnerable populations. Loopholes in lax regulations allow industries to bypass environmental standards, further endangering the Innu community. Adding to this, the enforcement of environmental regulations is inconsistent at best. Industries can often exploit regulatory gaps, continuing harmful practices with minimal repercussions. This regulatory environment fails to hold polluters accountable and leaves communities like the Innu vulnerable to ongoing environmental degradation.
Hi everyone, I'm Jordan. Let's talk a little bit about lifestyle and socioeconomic challenges faced by the Innu people and how these challenges contribute to environmental and health issues. One major issue is housing. Many Innu homes are overcrowded and in poor condition, lacking proper insulation and ventilation. These poor housing conditions can lead to respiratory problems and other health issues. Access to clean water and sanitation services is often limited, which makes health issues even worse. Economically, the Innu have high levels of unemployment and poverty. Many communities are in remote areas in which jobs are limited Healthcare and education is also limited. These economic struggles make it hard for Innu families to afford nutritious food and essentials, leading to food insecurity and related health problems. Food insecurity is a big deal. The Innu have always relied on hunting and fishing, but environmental damage has hurt wildlife populations, making it harder to find traditional food sources. Plus, the high cost of store-bought food in these remote areas means many Innu struggle to afford a healthy diet, leading to nutritional deficiencies. Poor air quality is another major issue. Industrial activities in nearby regions release pollutants like sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, and air particulates matters into the air. These pollutants can travel long distances and accumulate in the environment where the Innu live, leading to higher exposure levels. This exposure is particularly harmful in communities where housing is already inadequate and health services are limited. The socioeconomic challenges are deeply connected to environmental issues. Limited resources and poor infrastructure mean the Innu are more vulnerable to pollution and other environmental hazards. This increased vulnerability is made worse by poor air quality resulting from nearby industrial activities. The physical health, mental health, and socioeconomic challenges faced by the Innu people are deeply intertwined with the environmental health issues. Limited resources, inadequate infrastructure, and environmental damage all create a cycle of disadvantage that affects every part of their lives. Let's talk a little bit about the impact of air pollution on the Innu community, especially when it comes to respiratory problems like asthma. Industrial activities near Innu communities, such as mining, oil and gas extraction, and pulp and paper mills, release harmful substances into the air, including sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, and particulate matter. Environmental studies have shown that the lower limit of allowable pollutants released by pulp and paper mills is routinely surpassed thresholds, and in some instances, pollutants exceed the allowable thresholds thousands of times over. Particulate matter, especially fine particulate known as PM 2.5, can penetrate deep into the lungs and even enter the bloodstream. This can cause not only respiratory problems, but also cardiovascular issues. Long-term exposure to high levels of particulate matter is linked to an increase in chronic bronchitis, reduced lung functioning, and even lung cancer. Sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides are known to irritate the respiratory system. Exposure to these gases can cause wheezing, shortness of breath, and can exacerbate conditions like asthma and bronchitis. For those already suffering from respiratory issues, these pollutants can trigger more frequent and severe asthma attacks. The impact of air pollution extends beyond the physical health for the Innu, who traditionally live in close connection with the environment. Pollution affects the health of wildlife and quality of water, further impacting hunting and fishing activities which are crucial for their subsistence. Children and the elderly in Innu communities are particularly vulnerable to air pollution. Innu children exposed to air pollution may experience reduced lung growth and develop asthma, which can affect them throughout their lives. Radon is another serious concern. This radioactive gas naturally seeps from the Earth's crust and can accumulate in homes, especially in areas like Labrador with high uranium deposits. According to the research, 28% of Innu households had high radon levels in Labrador. Elevated radon levels significantly increase the risk of lung cancer over prolonged exposure. The health impacts of pollution on the Innu community are severe, affecting every aspect of life from their physical health to their cultural practices and social structure.
Hi, I'm Margie. I'm going to talk about the crucial roles of advocacy, representation, and community empowerment in addressing the challenges faced by the Innu community. Advocacy is a powerful tool for change. For the Innu, this means actively fighting for stricter environmental regulations that directly impact their daily lives. Community leaders and local organizations are at the forefront, advocating for policies that ensure cleaner air and water. These efforts are crucial in pushing for a sustainable environment that supports their traditional ways of life and improves overall community health for the Innu. Representation matters deeply in these advocacy efforts. Ensuring that the Innu have a voice in political and environmental discussions is critical. It's about having Innu representatives at the table when decisions are made, especially those that affect their lands and resources. This includes participating in environmental assessments and having a say in managing and utilizing local resources. Currently, only a small percentage of decision-making bodies include Indigenous representatives, which is a disparity that needs addressing. Community empowerment is equally as important. Empowering the Innu means providing them with the tools and resources to manage their health and environment. Initiatives such as local health workshops that incorporate traditional knowledge and practices and community-led environmental monitoring programs are examples of how empowerment can take shape. These programs not only educate, but also engage community members in active surveillance of their environment. For instance, community-based monitoring of pollution levels can provide a real-time data that helps advocate for change more effectively. Statistics show that when Indigenous communities are involved in managing their own resources, the outcomes are significantly better. For instance, studies have shown that Indigenous managed forests in Canada have lower rates of deforestation and higher biodiversity compared to those managed solely by non-Indigenous entities. In terms of environmental justice, the Innu have been actively involved in various campaigns and legal battles to protect their lands from industrial encroachment. Legal victories and settlements often include provisions for a better environmental practices and compensation for damages, which can be reinvested into community health and infrastructure. These combined efforts in advocacy, representation, and empowerment foster a stronger, more resilient community. Now to talk about the importance of culturally relevant health interventions and propose some actionable steps to address and mitigate environmental injustice faced by the Innu community. Culturally tailored health interventions are crucial for the Innu community because they ensure that health solutions resonate with the community's beliefs, practices, and experiences. Integrating traditional healing methods with modern medical practices can significantly improve the acceptance and effectiveness of health interventions. One successful initiative is the integration of traditional knowledge and health education. Health workshops that incorporate storytelling, community gatherings, and involvement of elders have been effective in educating the Innu about managing asthma and other respiratory conditions. These culturally relevant approaches help bridge the gap between modern medicine and traditional practices, making health interventions more accessible and more acceptable. Another example is the development of culturally relevant health materials. Creating educational pamphlets and videos in the Innu language, featuring local community members and using culturally familiar symbols and practices can significantly enhance understanding and engagement. For instance, visual aids that depict traditional activities like hunting and fishing while explaining health concepts can make the information more accessible and relatable. Now, let's discuss some actionable steps we can take to address and mitigate the environmental injustices faced by the Innu community. We can strengthen environmental regulations, advocate for stricter enforcement of environmental laws and regulations to ensure that industrial activities do not exceed pollution thresholds. Increase community involvement, ensure that the Innu have a seat at the table in discussion and decision-making progresses. This means involving community representatives in environmental assessments and policy-making decisions. Promote health education. Develop and distribute culturally relevant health education materials that integrate traditional knowledge with modern health practices. Support community monitoring programs. Fund and support community-led environmental monitoring programs. These programs empower the Innu to collect and utilize their own data to advocate for policy changes and protect the environment. Legal and financial support. Provide legal and financial support to the Innu for pursuing environmental justice. This can help the community fight against industrial encroachment and secure settlements that can be reinvested into the environment. Build alliances. Form alliances with other Indigenous communities, environmental organizations, and health advocates to amplify the Innu's voice and advocate for broader policy changes. As we wrap up our presentation, addressing these issues is not only about improving health and environmental conditions, it's about respecting and upholding the rights and traditions of the Innu people. It requires a comprehensive approach that includes stricter environmental regulations, increased community involvement, and support for culturally tailored health programs. Thank you so much for your attention and engagement today. Let's all commit to supporting these efforts and making a tangible difference in the Innu people's lives. Thank you.